Far away in Africa, where birds sing at sunrise and rivers sparkle in the morning light, lived a baby elephant named Paul. Paul had big floppy ears, a curious trunk, and an even bigger imagination. He dreamed of exploring the world. One warm afternoon, Paul joined other elephants and splashed in a river. They dunked themselves underneath the water, and they had the most wonderful time. Paul especially loved using his trunk like a water hose. He sprayed his brothers, then he sprayed his sisters, and once even accidentally sprayed himself. His elephant family thought that was really funny. Paul was having so much fun that he didn't want the day to end. "Paul, you know it's time to come out," said his mom. Just 5 more minutes," Paul pleaded. Smiling, she said, "You said that 5 minutes ago." "But I'm having fun." "I know," she said, "but now it's time for a mud bath." Paul's eyes lit up. Did you know elephants take mud baths to help protect their skin from the hot African sun and pesky insects? And then they slowly walked home with mud on them. Paul liked looking around and seeing the other animals. The sky seemed to just go on and on. That's when he spotted his cousins. First he saw Cole the giraffe, who was growing taller every day. And off in the bush, wait, was that Adeline the antelope? She could run as fast as the wind. Paul ran over to his cousins. He said to them, "I wonder what's behind those clouds." Cole stretched his neck as high as he could to try to see. "I can see rivers, some grass, and people in some small boats too." Adeline was so excited. She said, "I see a plane. Let's take it and explore." They all 3 chimed in, "Let's go." And so the 3 cousins set off on a great adventure through Africa. Their first stop was a country named Zimbabwe. As they walked along the savannah, Paul said proudly, "Did you know an elephant's trunk can pick up a tiny leaf, spray water, and even give a gentle hug? One day my trunk will be as strong as my mom and dad's." Soon they came upon a herd of elephants grazing peacefully. Nearby, they could see colorful birds in the trees. Just then, they spotted some zebras out in the grass. Then they got even closer. Paul stared in amazement. "Why do they have stripes?" he asked. A wise old zebra smiled. "Every zebra's stripes are unique," he said, "just like fingerprints. No 2 zebras have exactly the same pattern." Cole thought that was fascinating. "I'll never look at stripes the same way again." As the cousins continued their journey, they came to a small village. They could see people singing and dancing and having a great time, and villagers welcoming them with big smiles on their faces. They saw how families lived, cooked, worked, and cared for one another. As the sun began to set, the sky turned orange and gold. They could see an elephant way off in the distance. "What a wonderful place," said Paul. "And we've only just started," said Adeline. The next day, the cousins arrived in Zambia. Suddenly, they heard a mighty roar. It wasn't a lion. It wasn't thunder. It was the rushing water of Victoria Falls. The spray and mist rose high into the sky. Adeline said, "It's like a waterfall touching the clouds." Nearby, monkeys scurried up a tree for a better view. "They use their quick hands and sharp eyes to find food," said Cole, "and they can leap amazing distances." A little farther along, a troop of baboons scampered across the grass, and some came to say hello. They also like to play. They live in large families and help watch for danger together, said Paul. The cousins watched as a baboon family held a pool party at a lodge. One helped a youngster as he used a fence like a jungle gym, while another little baboon played with a pool cover. They remind me of a very noisy family reunion, laughed Cole. Adeline knew she would always remember this time. I didn't know the world could be this big, she whispered. But little did she know something amazing was coming as they followed a jeep in the dark. A pride of young lions were hanging out on a street. Young lions spend lots of time playing together and learning skills they will need when they grow up. They're big cats, but they're still kids just like us, said Cole. Soon they crossed into Botswana, where they came to a beautiful lake. They took a canoe ride on the smooth water, seeing flowers and a little tiny frog who calls this place home. As they floated across the water, Paul noticed several pairs of eyes. Hippos, he whispered excitedly. I just see eyes and a nose. Then one just popped up. They saw two hippos playing with each other too. Then one walking on land. Usually they like the water to stay cool. The next day they took another boat ride across the lake. The cousins tried to count how many birds they saw, but there were just too many. Later, Adeline saw some antelope in the grass. Let's go say hi, she said. Then she suddenly stopped. In the distance were some young cheetahs. The beautiful cats moved quietly across the plains. Cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world, whispered Cole. Then they saw some animals that look like antelopes but are called waterbacks. The circle is so that the baby can easily follow her mom. At last, the friends arrived in South Africa. By now, Cole had grown even taller. Giraffes are the tallest animals on earth, he said proudly. Cole then stretched up and plucked leaves from a tree no one else could reach. I can see for miles. The next day, the cousins came around a bend in the road and stopped to watch a sleeping male lion. He's putting on quite a show by very slowly waking up. He then took a very long stretch. Another one liked to roll around on the grass, but later decided that was just too much work and he went back to sleep. Adeline giggled. They looked like they liked their sleep. Later that evening, the three cousins explored quietly. Suddenly, Adeline stopped. Did you see that? First, Paul saw nothing. Then two bright eyes appeared in the darkness. Hidden along the bushes was a leopard. Its spotted coat blended perfectly with the shadows. Wow, whispered Paul. Leopards are masters of camouflage, said Cole. The leopard moved away, while an owl watched. The three cousins knew it was time for their journey home. Along the way, they thought about everything they had seen. A blue wildebeest, a lot of different kinds of monkeys. They can be very mischievous. This one stole a banana. And there's some really cool-looking white ones. We can't forget the zebras or the towering giraffes. The sleepy hippos. These tiny guys are called chameleons. This owl looks really sleepy. They saw quite a few waddling warthogs. The lions were beautiful while they were drinking some water. They'll always remember the mighty male lion. and the ostrich, who have giant eggs. Check out those horns on the kudu. And the male Cape buffalo looks like he's wearing a hat. This jackal is having a laugh. They loved meeting the village dancers. And they had so much fun looking at all the beautiful and unique birds. Paul had learned the world was much bigger than he had ever imagined. And every adventure is better when it's shared with friends and family. So Paul and his cousins returned home. After he hugged his mom, she said, "Did you know elephants never forget their families?" Paul smiled and said, "Just like you taught me." The sun slowly set behind the savannah. As Cole asked his cousins, "Where should we travel next?" They all agreed there are still so many things to see. And together, the three cousins dreamed about their next big adventure.